As we get close to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, one of the questions that comes up is, how do I do Teshuvah? Should I do Teshuvah? What should be my approach? And let me begin with one observation. The key question you have to ask yourself before you begin the process is, will this help me become a better Eved Hashem, become closer to Hashem, or not? If you assess that likely you're going to get depressed, if you assess that likely you're going to become despondent, or even if you think that by bringing back memories it's going to make them more vivid and make more of a problem, then you don't do Teshuvah. You stand in front of your Creator and you say the words, Hashem, I deeply regret where I am, and I greatly aspire, wish, and plan to change. Right now I can't grapple with it because it's going to lead to the opposite effect. Please allow me to do a complete Teshuvah, but right now I can't do it. And with those words, you concentrate on every other aspect of your growth and many other areas to focus on. But assuming that's not where you're at, assuming that you're ready to take on this challenge, and assuming that it won't lead you to depression, it won't make the images more vivid and create more trouble. So how do you do Teshuvah? So I'd like to share with you that one element of Teshuvah is very simple, one is very difficult. The Rambam tells us there are 4 parts of Teshuvah. The first part is simply azivas hachet, leaving the sin. The second part is vidui, speaking out, saying to Hashem that which I've done, telling Hashem it. The third part is charata, is remorse. Those first 3 are not difficult at all. After all, most of us recognize we do things wrong. Most of us reach a certain point where we say, I surely wish I didn't do it. And a sense of regret and a sense of, wow, if I could just go back and undo or not do, I would give anything to do it, isn't that difficult to attain. But you see, that's the first 3 parts. The fourth part isn't so simple. The fourth part is Kabbalah al haba, accepting in the future not to do it again. And this is the difficult part. Any amount of Teshuvah does help, and any amount of Teshuvah does some work, but to be able to fully say to Hashem, I will never do this again, is not really that simple at all. And I'd like to give you a mushal to what it's like. Imagine a man smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day for 20 years. And finally, he goes to the doctor, take an x-ray, and his lungs are black. And the doctor says, son, it's cancer, and it's very unlikely you're going to survive. At that moment, I believe that man has utter, complete regret. At that moment, he reaches a total charata, and he reaches a real understanding of, wow, how foolish I was. Why did I do that? Assuming that he got a new lease on life, and assuming that the doctor operated and was successful, and now he began a new leaf of his life, here's the second part of the challenge. Regret is very simple. Not smoking anymore isn't. Because a 20-year habit isn't so easy to break. A 20-year habit requires tremendous willpower, technique, a system. You see, charat, the regret, isn't that difficult, but change is. And the real growth of the person isn't measured by how many tears he cries, but it's measured by how different a person he is. The Rambam tells us that if a person sinned and that man in full health is in the same city with the same woman in the same situation, and he again the second time doesn't do it, or even if Hashem would say that if that person were in that situation he wouldn't do it, that's a complete utter tshuva, and the Aveira is eradicated as if it never were, as if it never happened, as if it wasn't on the scene. That type of tshuva is very difficult to reach. Nevertheless, any amount of tshuva is very beneficial and very helpful. And Rabbeinu Yonah gives us a mashal. He says, imagine a man with a coat, a beautiful white pristine coat, and a chariot comes and sludges mud on it. The mud is all over his coat. What does he do? He takes a cloth and he rubs. As he rubs, some of the mud comes off, and some comes off, a little more comes off. Then he has to apply liquid, and then he has to rub, and he has to actually rub deeply, deeply into the fabric itself to really get out not just the stain, but the remnant of the stain. And if he really, really scrubs totally and completely, it's gone. Rabbeinu Yonah says that's tshuva. Any amount of regret, any amount of saying to Hashem, I wish I didn't do this, I wish I weren't involved, has an effect. It wipes off a little bit. But the more you rub, the more you get into it, the more you feel the remorse and regret, the deeper the cleansing process is, the more that it removes and the more that it takes off. And if a person actually reaches the level where he totally, totally regrets radically and completely, and Hashem says about this person, he so has changed, and he's such a different person, he would never do it again, that's a total, complete tshuva, white coat again, as if he never sinned, as if totally, completely cleaned. That type of total tshuva rarely comes quickly. It's a 20-year plan, it's the future, but right now, dealing with it, dealing with the regret, and dealing with the remorse, and more than anything, dealing with the plan to change is very beneficial, and any amount of tshuva helps, but it requires the strength, the commitment to actually step forward and take the steps and use the system the way Hashem created it.
Thank you for listening to the Guard Your Eyes Daily Chizuk broadcast. Pass them on to your friends and help spread Kedusha in the world.